Secret Invasion has no character growth, it has repetitive exposition, and they do events for shock value alone, yet they hold no weight. This has become Marvel's worst rated show, and probably the worst thing they've put out. Now let's look into all the problems or reasons why this show got rated so low. We're gonna have to go into spoilers, so you've been warned.
You're in no shape for this fight that lies before us.
Nick Fury finally gets the time to take center stage, and as cool as it is to have a normal guy handle a world full of superheroes or superpowered beings, he does nothing. Everything he does ends in a loss. He fails to save his friends. He was unable to save the world, and when he does have his big hero moment in saving the president, it has dire consequences. Don't even feel like it was worth doing. Every episode plays out like this. Someone kind of talks down on Fury, saying how he used them, how he abandoned them, and how whenever things got hard, he ran away from his own problems. Fury never responds. And when I say every episode, I mean every episode.
The Fury I knew was always 3 steps ahead.
Good fault.
The fact that you don't know tells me all I need to know about this new, rather old Nick Fury.
There you go. To the last stand of the great Nick Fury.
Then we go over and there's the big event for the episode. Something crazy happens, but it doesn't correlate to the story at hand, nor is there ever any follow-up. Each episode is very loosely connected, and there's no bridge that tells an overarching story. However, we are introduced to Gaia. She succeeds where Fury fails, where she does her best to save her friends, she does everything she can to save the world. Matter of fact, she does save the world, what am I saying? And she ends up stopping the big bad villain at the end, while having some, if not little bit, character growth that goes along with it, mainly because a lot of the stories interacting characters were from her having to learn a lesson into not becoming the bad guy. And if you think about it, which is kind of sad, the show would actually work better if Nick Fury wasn't in it, or if he was the side character and Gaia was the main character. Usually, I would say a lot of this lack of character growth comes from world building and having to introduce us into a lot of new things, but because Marvel is continuously giving us stories that relate to their other products, whenever you have situations of Maria Hill dying, it serves nothing to the main story of Secret Invasion. We're supposed to care because she's been in other Marvel movies or TV shows, and we don't because it doesn't do anything to further the plot itself. It does nothing to help Nick Fury grow. It's only there to show us that the villain is a bad guy and he's coming after all your friends. The same goes for Talos. His death is almost having more meaning than Maria Hill's, but it ends up falling flat. And you could say it's the reason that Gaia switches over, but she was already done, due to the fact that they saw that they were losing their own identity and trying to take other people's. This is only further proven whenever Gaia and Nick Fury sit together and talk about Talos' death. And he just repeats the same thing he said to her and Talos, or Talos has said to her, from the beginning of the season. There's no character growth at all. He didn't learn from his friend's death. He is only trying to stay vigilant in what he already believes. It's Gaia the one that has to change and evolve, yet we're following Nick Fury still. And this downright just makes the show boring, because it spends so much time showing off some big event or telling us why Nick Fury is a problem, why he's not doing good, instead of building tension, instead of building characters, and instead of us getting attached to the world or the situation. Whenever things do happen, we don't feel anything, and the show, it just feels like I'm watching the same episode over and over and over again. Now, the show isn't all bad. If I were to extrapolate the good, I think the premise itself is worth pursuing. I don't think the execution worked that well. The best way I can show it is between Nick Fury and his wife, Vara. See, they are the ideal situation for what humans and Skrulls could end up being, and yet their marriage isn't always solid. It's such a great and beautiful metaphor that I wish they spent more time on. It not only lets us see a more personal and vulnerable side of Nick Fury, but it also reflects the outside world of the Marvel Universe. Their relationship begins off of lies, and it grows from there, and it grows from trust. And because it begins off of lies, they don't know if they could still trust each other. But that's the whole point of trust, is that you have to be willing to put yourself in a position where someone can take advantage of you. And just like any marriage, it's not something that can be easily done, but it's worked at. And through working at it and nurturing it, it will grow into something beautiful, is what we saw between the two of them. The Skrulls are on this planet, and they're tired of pretending to be someone else. They feel like they are losing their identities, their cultures, by having to constantly pretend to be humans. And so they become radicalized, and yet this radical venture, it doesn't help them at all either. Whereas Nick Fury is a human who has to basically get rid of his identity. He has to scrub away everything. He has to be a foreigner to his own planet in order to keep it safe. And he is only ever able to be himself around others who have to do the same thing as him. It's really poetic, and I think it definitely leads to a great premise and for a wonderful story. However, I just didn't see it being executed too well. It was focused too much on trying to introduce a new character into the Marvel Universe, trying to show off awesome, cool spectacle ideas, and it never feels like Marvel is worried about the self-contained story, but they're always looking ahead to what's next. And that's why I gotta give Secret Invasion a 4 out of 10. Until next time, play nice.